Oh, forgive me, guys. I was busying roast. Do any of you remember a particular animated series called, and I quote, The Butt Ugly Martians? BUM for short.
Well, for the sake of those that don't remember what I'm talking about, it was one of those rough 3D animated TV shows for kids produced in the early 2000s. Thanks to the success of other 3D animated shows like Jimmy Neutron, Reboot and Cubex, The Butt Ugly Martians was created in the hope to capitalize on their success, but sadly failed. Mainly due to the characters not being very memorable, a lack of a proper story, and the animation...
Okay, just tell them your folks are away and they can't mess with anything. Open says me.
Yeah, not great, but remember it is early days, and I did mention that it was very rough. However, I still found the series rather charming, even with its flaws, and remember enjoying it as a kid. Plus, I kind of had a soft spot for one character in particular, Stolt Muldoon.
I'm Stolt Muldoon, and this is my show, Muldoon, Alien Hunter. I say fact, and I've got the goods to prove it. And so does my new sponsor, Quantum Burgers. Quantum Burgers. They're pretty darn good. Sorry. Next time I'll yell incoming.
The series ran for 26 episodes and was produced by Mike Young Productions, who also produced and distributed other classic cartoons like Clifford the Big Red Dog, Fantastic Four, World's Greatest Heroes, and Code Lyoko. Yes, that Code Lyoko, including the live-action series, believe it or not. It was also apparent that the studio had a lot of hope on the series being a success, and had quite a collection of merchandises made for it, and this included video games. And not just one, but 3 video game titles. One for the GameCube and PS2, one for the GBA, and the last one being on PC. So we'll be taking a look at all 3 of them in today's video. Strangely enough, the one for the PS2 and GameCube has a dedicated wiki page, while the other 2 don't. Huh. Not sure if I should take that as ominous or not.
Before we jump in, I want to let you guys know that I'll be playing these titles via emulation, because while some of the games are easy to get my hands on, the rest are... yeah. So that's my reason. Also, selfishly, I don't want to spend any money right now. With that all out of the way, let's jump right into our first game, Martian Boot Camp for the PC.
To start off with, we get a... Wait, what? Oh my god, we're playing already. What's going on? Oh, it's part of the main game story. Huh. Moving on. After failing to defeat the enemies, Emperor Bog and Dr. Damage more or less penalizes them for failing to defeat these enemies. So they send them off to Martian Boot Camp for training in order to continue in conquering the Earth. And I use quotation marks in the word conquering, as the Butt Uglies don't really want to conquer it anymore, and just want to live there in peace. That's pretty much the plot of the series, which I forgot to mention earlier. My bad. So after picking our randomly generated name, which I swear to God would get me banned on some platforms, we finally get to play the main game. What follows is a collection of mini-games, which ranges from beat-em-up challenges, races, traversing mazes, and breakout clones. Huh. You know, I won't lie, this is actually terrible. I mean, some of the mini-games are okay, but I'm just surprised at how boring and tedious it is. The graphics aren't anything to write home about, and everything feels cheaply made. Strangely enough, the cutscenes are the only good and high-quality parts about the game, which really begs the question of why everything else is so cheaply made. I honestly don't have a lot more to say about this game, as you've seen pretty much everything it has to offer. No, seriously, look at my script right here. This is all I have to say about the game. The cutscenes are passable, and yeah, that's all I have to say about it. As this game is barely, if hardly ever remembered / mentioned compared to the other titles. Hell, this is the first time I've heard of its existence. No, seriously, while doing research for this video, I had only known about the GBA title and the PS2 / GameCube title, but when looking at the Wikipedia page, I noticed another game I had never heard of. So after a quick Google search, I found the title on archive.org with only one very interesting review and decided to add it to the video. And you know what? I don't regret it. Don't get me wrong, the game isn't great, but I'm glad that I experienced a forgotten game from my childhood that I never even knew it existed. And with that, let's move on.
Up next is the title released onto the GBA, simply titled But Ugly Martians BKM Battles. As to why they didn't simply call it Bum Battles for short, we'll never know. I'm a mature human being.
Well, when booting this game up, we hear a rather interesting jingle. And after picking a new game, we go into the character select screen and... oh god, I won't lie, I'm feeling a little uncomfortable with how they're looking at me. Once you've picked your Martian, I was surprised to learn that this game has a story, and one that could have benefited the show. The story is that Emperor Bog is fed up of waiting for the Butt Uglies to take over the Earth, and decides to send down some robots to more or less assist them. The Butt Uglies hear about this somehow, and decides to take action by using their BKM powers, all conveyed by text and still images that... you know what, I'll let you hear my reaction to one part to give you my opinion.
What is that?
Moving on to the gameplay, and to the game's credit, we get a little tutorial first, which is a good idea because some games like this just tend to throw you in with no explanation on how to play. Afterwards, we get into the main gameplay, and it is a 2D side-scrolling shooter, and it's... not great. I mean, it's harmless enough, but I did find myself bumping into walls that don't look like walls, and enemies which also deal damage when flying into them. This is partly because the background appears to be following you whenever you move, which is really distracting and disorienting. You have the ability to switch between all three Martians, and they all play exactly the same. This also begs the question on why they needed to have a character select screen in the first place. But I digress. Moving is a little clunky, as you can tell from the gameplay footage here, and to give you an example, the way you turn is very weird, as you need to press the B button in order to make your character turn around. This often leaves you a little open to attacks, and you will end up taking more damage. Your only attack is shooting your lasers, which you can get upgrades for to make them stronger, but not by much. You go around the level collecting keys to open pathways to progress until you reach a teleport, which then takes you to the boss of that level. You can also find these memory erasing crystals in each level, which you could throw at Stolt Muldoon to get rid of him. You know, instead of trying to explain to him that the Martians are on his side, that way we could have played Muldoon in this game. Missed opportunity right there, guys. As mentioned earlier, there are power-ups for your weapon, but there are also others like a shield, this weird thing that floats around you, and stealth power-ups, which was bloody useless. The only one that I found really useful was the shield, as when you've got this, you can pretty much fly through the enemies without taking damage. There are a total of 28 levels spanning 7 worlds, but if I'm being honest, I didn't get to see all of them as the level variety didn't offer much, and the enemies, while looking different for each level, didn't do anything to really write home about. The bosses themselves are characters from the show, and you fight them 3 times in order to fully beat them. These characters include Hamaj, Infranite, Jax, and a few others. While the game is a mixed bag through and through, there is one saving grace for it, and that'll be the music. However, I need to add an asterisk next to that word, and I'll explain in a bit. The soundtrack for the game is really good, as each level has their own unique track, and some of them can be very... bopping? Do kids still use that word? Just play the music. Some really great tunes here. Sadly, as I mentioned earlier, I added an asterisk next to the word music, and that's because there isn't much variety again, and you'll be listening to the same song over and over again on repeat, which made playing the levels much more tedious. One last thing I'll mention is that the game's graphics are passable at best. I mean, the character select screen is the worst one out of everything in this game, mainly because the 3 main Martians look off. And let's be real here, there are better looking GBA titles out there, and sadly, this game just isn't one of them. Okay, I think I've said everything I needed to say about this title, so let's move on to the final game.
But ugly Martian Zoom and Doom for the PS2. Can't get enough of that joke. Oh god, I'm sorry.
Now, to start off with, the main menu isn't anything to write home about, but the music is oddly relaxing, which I didn't expect to hear in a racing game. Huh. Kind of reminds me of those relaxing tunes they put on when you're having a massage. Not that I would know, of course.
Cutaway gags? Absolutely unnecessary.
Oh, shut your yap. Now grease me up, woman.
You got it.
Too much grease, woman! Too much grease! The story for this game is that Emperor Bog is getting tired of waiting for the Butt Uglies to conquer the Earth. So Damage suggests that they bring back the Conqueror's Cup in order to determine who should be leading the invasion. The Emperor announces this and informs our heroes about it. So of course the Butt Uglies decides to participate in order to stop the invasion. But Stolt Muldoon, Alien Hunter, is also listening to this announcement and also decides to participate in the races so that he can save the Earth. It is at this point that I noticed that while everyone else came back to reprise their roles, Muldoon's voice actor didn't. And that is because the original voice actor, Robert Stack, sadly passed away in 2003 due to heart failure, and was replaced by Jeff Pearson for the game. Which is a shame because Stack's voice is quite iconic to Muldoon's character, but Pearson does a decent job.
Muldoon, he knows who I am. My reputation precedes me.
Why, that egg-headed alien slime, treating Earth like the prize in an ugly intergalactic pageant.
Another thing to point out, and I'm surprised that it's taken me this long to mention it myself, but you may have noticed that 3 characters are missing from not just this title, but the other 2 games too. And that's the other main team characters that help the Martians out in each episode. Those characters are Mikey, Angela, and Cedric.
That's Mike.
Oh, right. Forgot he hates being called that. Why? It's actually a great name. Loads of cool people are called Mikey. As to why they don't appear at all is... I actually don't know. I guess the developers just forgot about them, as they are never mentioned or seen in any of the games. So I'm guessing that they just either forgot about them or didn't see any reason to add them into the games. Strange. Moving on. After picking the only campaign and choosing your character, we finally start the race, and the gameplay is... okay. It's just a simple and basic little racing game. Controlling your... hover bike is quite a chore if I'm being honest. With the game being that simple, you'd think controlling your vehicle would be easy. It's not. It's really, really not. There is of course a drift button, or in this case drift buttons, but it isn't implemented well and flawed. So your character will be hugging the sides a lot. To put it simply, this game ain't no Mario Kart or Crash Team Racing. Now there are many different types of gameplay, like 2 types of time trials. There is also a time attack mode, as well as a practice mode and normal quick play. There are a total of 7 different races you can play as, and these characters are the Butt Uglies, Muldoon, Gorgon, Jax, and I actually don't remember you. Oh, his name is Chitzog. Huh. And he's an alien terrorist. Wonder what happened to him. Oh Oh, that's what happened. Now, the main story for the game is in the Conqueror's Cup, but I will mention that the gameplay is pretty much the same throughout. However, when you play the Battle Challenge, you'll be faced with one opponent at a time, and you have to beat them in order to progress. But because I failed the first one, because I swear to God I was ahead of him, I decided not to bother with it further. What? I'm not salty at all. How dare you accuse me of being salty? God fucking damn it. Getting back to the Conqueror's Cup, you have to go through 3 stages and gather points in order to win the cup. All 3 stages increase in difficulty as we progress. In the first stage, you have to race on 5 tracks on easy difficulty. The second stage, you have to race on 7 tracks on medium/normal difficulty. And finally, the third stage, you have to race on 9 tracks on hard difficulty. Now, there is a 4th stage, but that's just racing on all tracks again, but in reverse. So, nothing to mention there. And to be honest, I didn't want to play it. Stages 1 and 2 aren't really anything to write home about, as one of them is, well, ridiculously easy, while the other does make the CPUs a little more challenging, but you can still win pretty easily. However, once you reach stage 3, holy shit, the chaos that I had to play through.
Huh?
Now, I have played a lot of racing games in my time. Some are more chaotic than most. Hell, I've even played a few competitive rounds with my good friend Sinister Pixel on Mario Kart, and he terrifies me when he's on his A game.
I'm not apologising for that.
Oh, for the love of God, get out of here, Pixel, before I kick your ass!
Joke's on you. I've got a digital ass. You can't kick it. Wait, what are you doing with that? No!
Let's move on, shall we? But yeah, racing on the hardest difficulty is insane. Because of how jumbled up everything gets, you'll be lucky to even pick up any power-ups at all. Also, remember that I mentioned earlier that the drift function is quite flawed? Well, that's primarily because in order to drift, you need to either press R1 to drift right and L1 to drift left, which makes drifting pretty uncomfortable to do. Personally, I've never known any racing title to have 2 buttons allocated to drifting in different directions, as from my experience, drifting is only allocated to 1 button. So I guess I'm asking, is this actually normal for racing games? Because while I have played the aforementioned Mario Kart and CRT, I've not really played any other racing titles. So I'm unsure if drifting on 2 buttons is normal or not. But please do let me know in the comments below, as I'd really like to know if it's actually a normal thing or not. Kinda makes me sorry for the NPCs in the game, as I don't think they were aware of this mechanic, since they pretty much do exactly the same as you and end up hugging the walls, which leads to things being a little more clustered. Now, with the power-ups, you have 2 types, one for weapons and the other for accelerated speed. Unfortunately, they are a mixed bag, as one of them is pretty normal for a racing game in a sci-fi setting, the other one is kind of broken. With the weapons one, you get the normal stuff like missiles and shields, but you also get the strange ones like being able to turn your opponents into a block of ice, a tractor beam to pull your opponents back to overtake them easier, and an autopilot, which is pretty much the useless one. Not a whole lot more I can say, but I did notice a little thing that would have benefited the weapon power-ups more, because you can upgrade one of them. For instance, if you get a missile, it's just a normal missile and you can hit or miss with it. However, if you save it and get another power-up, it upgrades to a homing missile, and if you get a power-up for the 3rd time, it becomes 3 homing missiles. This is brilliant. but it's the only one I've noticed in the game that gets this treatment, at least from what I've noticed while playing it. Now we get into the speed power-up, and this one's a doozy. You can get a normal speed boost power-up with the weapons one, but as mentioned, this is just a normal speed boost for short periods of time. But you'll have noticed that there are random bits of food and crystals scattered throughout the levels. Well, on the right hand side of the screen, you'll notice an icon that shows your placement, laps, and normal acceleration. But there's also a blue line right here, and that's the bar that gets filled up when picking up the crystals and food. Now, it doesn't really matter which food you pick up, as they fill up pretty much roughly the same. So your best bet is to aim for the crystals, as they fill it up much, much more. Once it's all filled up, your character suddenly accelerates so much you pretty much overtake everyone within a single run. And if you're already ahead of the others and you get this power up, you are pretty much unreachable now. And I don't just mean with the other races trying to catch up, I mean it in the literal sense, as you become pretty much immune to any and all damage from evil weapons and environmental hazards. Don't worry, we'll get to that. This is broken, because the NPCs can also gain this advantage too, making it pretty much impossible for you to catch up to one of them if they fill up their meters. One little detail about this broken speed boost is that if you are playing either of the But Uglies, they transform into their BKM forms and zoom across the map in them, until the power up is over of course. While the rest kind of blink in and out of existence for a second and their vehicles become gold. Okay, the joke's over. Whoever that is, I'm going to kick your ass. At least this is the case for Stolt Muldoon, as I haven't played any of the other characters to know what happens to them. Level design isn't too bad, and to be honest, some of the levels actually look really impressive for a PS2 game. But there are some issues I have with certain levels, as there are some tracks where pretty much nothing is going on, leaving them barren and forgettable, while the others are such a massive cluster that due to the sharp turns with the already flawed drifting mechanics, the chaotic twists and turns, and the amount of environmental hazards that you have to drive through is insane. What's worse is when you get hit once by absolutely anything, you are pretty much done. Now, this is normal in these types of games, that once you get hit by an enemy or an environment, you'll quickly get overtaken and have to try and bounce back. But with this game, you take ages to recover from an impact. So much so that at times you just can't catch up to anyone and end up losing as a result. Unless you are lucky enough to have gathered enough crystals to get the aforementioned speed boost, but that's pretty slim.
It has been a long time since a game has left me feeling this frustrated, which is sad because I can see elements of a good video game here, but unfortunately it just falls short.
To finish things up, remember earlier I mentioned that you gain points for each race you do? Well, if you gather enough points in the early parts of the stages and stay consistently at the top throughout, you'll end up winning the cup regardless. And to my surprise, this game has multiple endings depending on which character you race as. I know, I was surprised too. Now, originally I just played as Muldoon and got his ending, but once I heard that it had different endings for each character, I decided to see and replay the final stage again as one of the But Uglies, and yeah, a different ending showed up. I won't lie, this is kinda cool. And thankfully you don't have to go through all 3 stages in order to get the different endings. Just complete all the tracks once and you are good to play any other character on the final stage to get their endings. This kinda gives the game some replayability to it, but honestly, I don't think it's worth it in my opinion. But if you are curious to check out this game and its multiple endings, as well as the other titles that I've mentioned in this video, please be my guest. Also, one little fun fact about the GameCube version and the GBA game is that when you connect the GBA title to the GameCube while this game is running, you get unlockable content. But since I played the PS2 version, which doesn't connect to the GBA game, and I don't own either copies physically, what that content is, I honestly haven't got a clue. But that doesn't stop anyone else from finding out, and once again, please let me know in the comments below what that unlockable content is, as well as what your feelings are on the games yourself.
Man, that was a trip down memory lane, but an interesting one if I'm being honest. Huh. I wonder where he'll take me or what I will look at. Huh. Bugger.
And now, dear viewers, welcome to the part of the video I like to call Whalley didn't ask me to record this, but I stuck it in here anyway because he will put it at the end of the video. It is true, I regularly kick Whalley's ass in Mario Kart, so it seems fitting that I give you Baby Park. Bam ba 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 bam ba 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 ba